the Super Speedway.
I've been on the other side of it, so I have to live with it, right? Like, I talk about Martinsville, like, I had to live with that. Best advice I have for Ross on that is put it on a t-shirt and sell the hell out of it.
Welcome to episode 229 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Wednesday, March 30th, 2022. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. Got the Alex Bowman audio in there this week.
Yeah, that was a good one, huh?
Yeah.
Put
good
it on
advice.
a t-shirt and sell the hell out of it.
Yep.
Should we put that? Should we make our own shirts and sell the hell out of those?
Well, I mean, we have to. People want to have to want to buy the shirts, James.
Well, we'd have to come up with our own quotes,
right?
Which I don't think we're equipped.
No.
Eric, we're doing this a night later this week, and I've been getting harassed today. So I'm glad we're able to get it in.
Well, everybody has learned that you're the one who replies because nobody messaged me.
Yeah.
They all message you and say,
Yeah,
where the hell are you guys?
Yeah, I've gotten Twitter messages. I've gotten text messages from my buddy, and yeah, like what's going on? You're in my rotation for and I get that too,
yeah.
Because the podcast space is so saturated that I listen to way too many podcasts, and I have to like fit them in to my routine. And so I can understand if like, wait a second, I was expecting this. So yeah, here we are on a Wednesday.
Right. Yeah, I was pretty excited on Monday afternoon when I was driving home from work, and I saw a Door Bumper Clear pop up. It's like, yes, I can click on that and listen to a little bit of that on the way home. So yeah, I mean, I understand too. You get your routine going. So yeah, hockey season's almost over, folks, and that was the last that was the last Tuesday night hockey game of the season. So I am free Tuesday nights the rest of the season in theory, but of course my kids play soccer, and who the hell else knows what goes on, because we're family men. We got kids.
We don't stick to a schedule. Just because you're used to us on Tuesday doesn't
Right.
mean that that's what we do.
Right.
So
Well,
sorry, guys.
We
That's
saw
all right.
Bubba lose the tire, so we wanted to wait an extra day so we could get the penalty announcement, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, that's the one bonus is we might actually get breaking news, but while it breaks, instead of getting the recording done and then it breaks. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes for us.
So I
tonight.
failed tonight, James. Rushed in here so we could get started, and we just finished dinner, and I didn't bring anything to drink. I don't have a drink here.
I've got two. I'd give you one if
Yeah,
I
you should
could
send it
virtually
over.
here.
I do
Hey,
have
man,
I do have a warm Mountain Dew, so I guess that'll have to suffice.
That'll suffice. As long as you hit that record button, we're not stopping.
Yeah, I'm not stopping. No way. If you guys listen to this podcast, we don't stop. We don't edit. None of that crap.
Yep.
Well, I mean, we are good at editing, so sometimes you might not notice, but it's pretty rare.
Yep. Right on.
If a baby cries or somebody interferes, or I don't know, there's some dog barking in the background, those sorts of things, sometimes we will edit out a part, or the internet goes down, or we have a bad connection. That stuff happens sometimes.
Every once in a while, or the kids bust in, but they don't always do that.
Yeah.
So.
I do apologize for the dog barking in the background. He is furious because we're having some house training issues, which he should be house trained, but he's an idiot. And he's locked in the room next to me right now. And he's not happy about the fact that everybody is in a different room than him. So
yep, he'll get over it.
Yeah, so I apologize for that. But anyway, we have a race to talk about, James. Actually, 3 of them. But one main one that we want to talk about, that is the Echo Park Automotive Grand Prix from Circuit of the Americas. The Cup Series made their return to the winding 20-turn road course.
20-turn road course, yes, sir.
3-point-some miles.
I think we're going to spend most of our time. We had 3 races over the weekend, but I think we're going to spend most of our time talking about the last third of a 3-mile lap.
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
I would say that, James, usually this podcast is about an hour and 15 minutes long, so that's going to be roughly 2 caution laps at COTA?
Oh my God. Well, I don't know when we want to talk about that, but we'll get there.
We'll get there. We can start, though.
Holy smokes.
We'll
Let's
start
talk about the winner.
We'll start with the end, James. We'll start with the end. So, James, Tyler Reddick finally gets his... Oh, crap. He still didn't get his first win, but Ross Chastain did.
Ross Chastain did. Eric, a lot of things that we've been yelling about came true.
Yeah.
Trackhouse got their win. Trackhouse got their win, which was yes. Yep. Absolutely. And the the new car continues to perform.
Yep.
There's been a bunch of things that have kind of tumbled into our lap. AJ Allmendinger should have won.
Yeah.
But we saw a battle for the win between Trackhouse Racing and Colleague Racing with a little spice of Hendrick Motorsports in there.
Right. The hack.
How cool. Yeah. How cool was that, man? To see Colleague and Trackhouse going for the win. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
If you ask me.
I mean, we just watched the future of NASCAR, the future of the Cup Series right there. And not just that, but you got, Ross Chastain's, I mean, not young, but not old. And so, that's somebody that we're going to see, I think, a lot more of. It's probably too early, maybe at this point, to call him a championship contender. But it's too early. He's in the playoffs, and they mentioned on in theory he's in the playoffs. But I mean, I think it was Door Bumper Clear mentioned this week that we don't really have anybody dominating these races, but we kind of do. Trackhouse has been dominating the season. They've got to be the favorite right now. I mean, I know Hendrick's going to figure things out, and they've won some races.
Three drivers with wins so far,
right.
And the other guy's leading the point standings. So
right. JGR is probably going to figure stuff out at some point.
Eric, you hit on something right here though that I'm going to stop you really quick because what I think we're seeing is a part of this is the new car, yes, which this is going to be, as we've talked about many, many times, the conversation of our whole year is going to be this new car every single week. I mean, we're going to Richmond and usually we would say, it's Richmond, but
new car. I'm still going to say it, James.
Yeah, that's fine. However, if you recall, Chevrolet invested buco bucks in that R&D center. And the common thread that we're seeing here is these Chevy teams, Trackhouse included, are really kicking everybody's butt right now.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole heck of a lot of difference between Trackhouse and Hendrick Motorsports. And I gotta imagine that Chevrolet has hit on a couple of things early with this new car that has left specifically Toyota. Toyota's really off. Ford not so much. Ford was great at Daytona, and Briscoe kicked everybody's butt at Phoenix. But
Ford tried to get a little bit closer this week. We don't know what they did, or last week.
Well, we'll talk about that too. One team in particular is trying, and they've been trying a couple of things.
Yeah, they lucked out of the first one and didn't luck out of the second one, but
yeah, and I think, but I think what we're seeing here, Eric, and I'm stealing a little bit of this idea from Jeff Burton. But I think what we're seeing here is Chevrolet hitting early with that research and development and finding a couple of spots to make this car a little bit faster, because these three Chevys at the end were the only ones who had a legit shot to win this race.
Yeah, and let's not also dismiss the fact that the guys driving those Chevys are no slouches. We know Ross Chastain's got some talent. Ross Chastain's done things in cars that he shouldn't have done things in the lower series. I mean, he was a championship contender with a truck series team that had no business competing for a championship. Went out and won his way into the championship after losing a race because of a penalty. And
AJ Allmendinger on a road course is a no-brainer.
I don't think there's anybody better on a road course than AJ Allmendinger in NASCAR.
Yeah, there's a handful of guys, but AJ Allmendinger is definitely the best. He's the Chase Elliott obviously has had a nice run in the Cup Series.
Poor Chase Elliott this weekend, struggled all weekend. And where did he finish? Fourth.
Fourth, and he's still the points leader. He's fine.
But he was a disaster.
He's not. I don't think he's going to like the feel of this new car compared to what he was driving before, because he really had a handle, and Larson too had a handle on the old car. But yes, you're right. The Chevy drivers are super talented. They're young. They're feisty. Joe Gibbs Racing's got really talented guys in those Toyotas too. But yeah, this is a
time, James, that when it's good to have non-veterans, because you've got, we already saw Denny Hamlin do it. You've got guys that are relearning everything they've known for their entire careers.
That's right.
And the Kevin Harvicks, the Denny Hamlins, even the Kyle Bushes.
Kyle Busch.
Man, they're going to struggle a little bit. And you got guys like Chastain and Suarez that haven't been doing this real long. It's not a whole relearning process for them.
Yeah. The names, think of the names we've been throwing around this season. You got Cindric. You got Chase Briscoe. Heck, I'll even say Cole Custer, he was incredible on Sunday for what you would expect out of Cole Custer. So that is really cool to see the opportunities flourishing, to this point in the season too, where we're getting races under our belts with this car, and we're still seeing, we have no repeat winners, and we laughed about it a minute ago, but we say that these guys are locked in the playoffs, and I got it. At this point, we're gonna have 26 different winners before we get before we get there. So we'll see.
I mean, we're still basing it off of the fact that, James, we believe that the drivers that normally win are going to win. But when Jimmy Johnson won his last race, we didn't think it was going to be his last race.
Yeah, I mean, for all we know, Denny Hamlin has won his last race. Maybe Kevin Harvick.
Harvick's the one that worries me. I feel like Harvick, we might be seeing the Jimmy Johnsonification of Kevin Harvick right now.
Yeah, and Kevin Harvick is older than Jimmy Johnson still.
Right.
Too. So he's been out there. I mean,
not to rag on Harvick, but man, he struggled last year, and I don't see him doing a whole lot better in this car. I mean, he finished 11th in this one, but he's not really been there much.
No, he's been off, but not. He's not like off.
Right.
It's just like it's you.
But that's how Jimmy was. I mean, Jimmy didn't start running 40th. Right. He just,
And Denny Hamlin.
Go ahead.
Denny Hamlin, he's having bad luck compared. There's silly things that are happening, but he's still searching for something.
Denny at least feels like he's there, though, James. To me, I mean, it feels like he's got what he needs. He runs well during the race. It's just finishing the race has been the issue.
Yeah, Denny could show up on Sunday. Or are we racing Saturday or Sunday this week? I can't remember.
It's Sunday because it's a day race.
Yeah. The day race, thank you. Yeah. He could show up on Sunday this week and kick everybody's butt at one of his home tracks. So we'll see. But.
Yeah, and I mean, then you got someone like Ryan Blaney who's run well all season and just can't buy a
Some
pit
of these guys
stop.
will win. Yeah, that's another. Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
So we talked about Ross Chastain winning the race, but we didn't talk about how he did it. We had 2 turns from the end, or 3 turns from the end. AJ Allmendinger squeezes his way underneath Chastain, gives him a little bump, slides him up the track. Those two are battling, and then Alex Bowman comes out of freaking nowhere. This is just Bowman's motif now, man.
Yep.
He's the guy who's going to steal wins, and almost did it again. But then Ross Chastain drove in about 20 miles an hour faster than normal into the next turn, punted AJ into Bowman, and went on to win the race. So the discussion with everybody all week, James, has been, was it a dirty move? Should NASCAR have done something? Was this wrong? What do you think? Evaluate. You tell me what you thought of that last lap pass, and then I'll give you my opinion.
Let me give you my breakdown.
Yeah.
So I tweeted that AJ should have went and punched him in the face.
I agree with
after
that.
Regardless,
because I just want to see somebody fight after a race. I'm so disappointed. We've had such good finishes and stuff. We haven't seen a fight yet 6 races in.
I should put the caveat on this that was a really exciting last lap, regardless of how I feel about what Ross did. Is what it is.
It made what I felt, James, was not. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no, go ahead.
It wasn't a bad race, but it wasn't a barn burner by any means.
No,
it certainly raised the level of that race up a significant amount by making it a good finish.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I think too, AJ, the bump and run in NASCAR is an art that it doesn't happen as much as it used to, but Ross got bump and run. My terminology. He did not bump and run AJ. No. He bulldogged and bulldozed AJ out of the way.
If Bowman wasn't there, AJ would have been parked in the fence. I mean,
yeah, he cleaned out both of those guys on that move, and that was, I hate to sound like a curmudgeonly old man, like Denny. I'm taking Denny Hamlin's side a little bit on this, but that was exactly what NASCAR wants, and it's not something that I love. I don't love guys getting absolutely wiped out, but again, NASCAR gets what NASCAR wants, and this is the system we have in place, because I think, Eric, too, we always take a look at the guys involved in this, and if that was Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson doing that, I think we look at it under a microscope even more so than we do with a guy trying to get his first time win with a brand new team, because for one, I think people love seeing new winners, but also who knows how long this window can be open for Trackhouse racing. Joe Gibbs could come right back up. Penske, Stuart Haas, these big powerhouse teams, they could put a stranglehold back on the sport at any time. And these opportunities for wins don't come easily. So you almost can't blame Ross Chastain for taking this shot. I mean, I know they're running great, but again, we're in a weird time, a weird window. We don't know what the future looks like. So that window could slam shut. So you go and you get it. And I think that's NASCAR racing in 2022. Like Denny Hamlin said 5 years ago, that's probably a different conversation. But I think with the playoff win and you're in style format that we've got going on here, it's become more accepted that you just do whatever you got to do to get that win.
Yeah. Just the thing is there's two guys right now that have been up front and had chances to win, in Tyler Reddick and Ross Chastain. And one guy hasn't done this to get the win, and he hasn't won. And there's one guy who has, and guess what? He's got a win sticker on his car. So here's here's the short of it for my analysis of this pass. It was dirty as hell. Absolutely dirty as hell.
It was dirty. Hell yeah. I agree.
Is there anything wrong with it? Nope. I mean, this is like you said, this is what NASCAR wants. If NASCAR were to step in and try to stop this, that would be the dumbest thing ever. For one, these guys are big boys. They can police themselves. Nobody got hurt. Some feelings got hurt. Yeah, it's a bummer for Colleague who's, trying to, get where Trackhouse is essentially. They had a win potentially, and that was taken away from them. AJ Allmendinger, as upset as he was, there wasn't a bit of AJ Allmendinger that was surprised about that. Ross Chastain did this to him as a teammate at Talladega a couple of years ago in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah.
And wrecked both of them. So at least he didn't take himself out this time. I think Alex Bowman has the standpoint that we're going to see from Ross Chastain, in that I can't be mad because I've done it. And I don't think there is a single bit. Ross Chastain will treat this like when Tony Stewart got dumped at Sonoma by Brian Vickers. He'll go, well, had it coming. That's
you're in my way for a win.
Yep.
And I'll say too, we can celebrate Ross Chastain getting the win, but honestly, like you said, dirty as hell move, and also be better on the last lap to where they can't get to you.
Yeah.
I know that's easier said than done. Right. I'm not driving.
Well, and the thing is he got himself so worried about AJ Allmendinger that he about gave Bowman the win.
Yeah, he did.
Bowman had the win if he wouldn't have wrecked Allmendinger.
Yep.
Because Allmendinger wasn't coming back.
You got AJ Allmendinger, the best in the business at what he does.
Yeah.
Bearing down on you. That's got to be intimidating.
And he didn't put a wheel wrong until that turn. Chastain did magnificent in not getting pressured. But again,
when you've got 20 turns,
right,
you can't be perfect. You can't be perfect 20 times a lap. It's not possible, especially with the types of corners we've got. That turn 11 is just wicked. I think Tony Stewart said in the broadcast, you got to pick where you're going to be good in turn 11. You can be good in, you can be good in the middle, or you can be good off. You can't be good at all three. You got to pick your poison there.
Yeah. The thing is you can be everybody's buddy, but Ross Chastain has never claimed to want to be everybody's buddy. He couldn't give a crap less and talking to him, he could not give a crap less whether he's friends with anybody out there. He's out there to win races, and that's what we want, right?
Yeah, he's got his job to do. Absolutely.
Yeah. And again, when you have a format that a win essentially locks you into the playoffs, you got to do this. This is it. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Truck Series a little later. You think it's crazy now? It's going to get crazier.
Yeah.
Because you got a lot of guys up there that don't know that this is not how people used to race. Yeah. This is the only way they know how to race. The difference is in the Cup Series we do it on the last lap. In the Truck Series we do it as soon as that last stage starts.
Every lap.
This is what we got. And hey man, fans were on their feet. We're talking about it here. I'm good. I'm good with the bump and run. I hated Earnhardt back in the day, but a lot of people appreciate what he did, and he Earnhardt dumped some people too, not necessarily for wins. Usually it was just because he was pissed off. But this is,
yeah,
I like this. I'll take it.
Yeah, it's exciting, and I think I have softened to it is what it is.
Yeah.
Normally I think we do this podcast 3 years ago. I'm probably screaming. Yes, I can't, because I have to understand the circumstances in it. You can be irrational if you want, but there's too much at stake to really put a fine print point on something like this. You hate to say the cliche, it is what it is, but honestly, it's the system, man. This is racing. This is NASCAR racing. This is what NASCAR wants. They want people screaming on the last lap. And honestly, Eric, the last 2 races, the last lap for both Atlanta and COTA have been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
You may not like the journey getting there, but you're getting the highlight material finish that you want for the highlight reel packages too.
Here's the thing. Everybody's ultimate goal is to win the championship, right? And right. there's what, 36 teams that compete regularly with charters, that's their goal. Everybody wants to win a championship, but in reality, the real goal is to make the playoffs.
Yes.
That's where the money is. One guy out of 36 is going to win the championship, but 16 guys are going to make the playoffs. And that comes with big bonuses from sponsors, from TV, from all this stuff to get into playoffs. And again, in theory, Ross Chastain just locked himself into the playoffs 6 races into the season. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you're not going to have these chances every day. Chances go away. Just because they run 6 races really well doesn't mean that, like you said, the Joe Gibbs Racing is going to catch back up, or Kevin Harvick's going to start clicking off wins, or hell, Kyle Larson and the rest of the Hendrick guys. I mean, any of that can happen.
They get hot.
So.
Yeah, you get a Kyle Larson like you did last year. He gets hot, and that takes the wins from. You go from having 26 opportunities to win races before the playoffs to 3 real fast, because you've got a guy who's absolutely dominating everything in his path. So, you've got a lot at stake, and I guess I can sympathize with Ross, even though I feel like AJ should have punched him in the face.
Oh, I agree. I agree, and I'm not saying AJ shouldn't be upset. AJ should be pissed. That's absolutely. He got taken out. Yeah, you should be mad about that.
Absolutely cleaned out.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't give him a chance to save it. There was no saving that.
No, and I think too that's what really sucks for AJ, because he put the bumper to Ross, but he didn't clean him out.
Right.
He gave Ross a chance to race for it, but heading all the way into that turn, I mean, Ross was just shoving him all the way through it and didn't let up at all. Yeah. So that's the difference, in my opinion. Take it or leave it. You don't have to agree with me out there. I don't expect people to agree with me all the time. So, right. But that's just kind of what I feel like. I don't know. I feel like, if it were me, I'm a bump and run guy, not a clean out guy. And if somebody cleaned me out, I'd be furious. I'd be absolutely furious.
Oh, so. Yeah. I mean, I'd be like Kyle Busch. I'd be pissed just even if I race second clean.
Yeah. I mean, I've got cleaned out on the go-kart track before and came in the lobby absolutely screaming at people. So
I've talked about before about being in the ARCA Sim Racing League, and there were many nights my wife did not like me participating because I was pretty angry when I was done for getting wrecked. So I don't
think I've ever seen you mad.
Oh yeah, it happens plenty. You should see me hang around my kids for a little while. So what Ross Chastain gets out of this is he gets his first victory in 121 Cup Series starts. Yep. And this is a guy that it's fun to celebrate. Ross. He's hit a lot of roadblocks along the way and kept pounding. And he's managed to get himself a Cup ride. And Justin Marks has said that. We were thinking last year that Chastain was the afterthought when they finally signed him with Trackhouse, but according to Justin Marks, he wanted him all along. It was just a matter of getting the paperwork signed. Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, I mean, again, another guy to celebrate what Justin Marks has put together there at Trackhouse. He's got two very good drivers. Did it at the perfect time. Jeff Gluck said it on his podcast this week. It's kind of a crazy thing to go about and do, and he's succeeding at it. And that's what we want, man. We want new winners, new owners to be able to come in here and succeed at this sport.
Yep, and that team was looking pretty solid last year with Suarez. Remember, Suarez was threatening to win Bristol Dirt, and he had some really decent runs. But
and that was a thrown. I mean, last year that was a
thrown together. Yeah,
thrown together team with an old car that was obsolete. And much of this team this year is former Ganassi guys.
That's my point. He fast tracked the development of this team. One, he had the new car, which again, perfect timing, like you said. But two, they kept that Ganassi one team together, and brought Ross over. And Eric, do you remember when Matt Kenseth came in to replace Kyle Larson in 2020?
Yeah.
I remember this very fondly. I think you and I were both like, what the hell are they doing? Bring in Ross Chastain. He's right there.
Yep.
He's right there. I just wonder what the future would have been if they wouldn't have made that mistake.
Yeah, it was just another instance of Chastain getting overlooked. He got screwed by the DC Solar deal as well.
Yeah, that was a bummer. I mean, that was an opportunity and a kick in the pants all at the same time, because he was going to break through in that role. And then, because remember, he was driving. That wasn't he was full time in the Xfinity series, but you remember he was racing for Johnny Davis, and that was a back marker racing team. Mm-hmm. And then Ganassi gave him that shot in the 42 car, and he goes out and wins Vegas, has some really strong runs. And I think he was in the playoffs going between the two cars.
Yeah. And then he ended up going to, I think, was that the season that he jumped to truck points with Nice?
Yeah.
And then ended up winning to get into the playoffs and then getting the win taken away.
Yeah. Yeah. He was in the playoffs for the 2018 season in Xfinity series. And then 2019 is when he jumped over to the truck series. Actually finished second in points that year. He had 3 wins. That was a really strong season for him. And then 2020, he was kind of there. He was racing for Colleague. Trying to compete for the championship for those guys. So
the thing with Colleague is when you're part of that team, you're racing for Colleague. You're not necessarily racing for yourself, which is great for them and great for the team. But sometimes you're working to help your teammate more than you're helping yourself, which Chastain struggled with a little bit, to be honest. And again, we had that Daytona wreck where he tried to go for it on his own and took him and Allmendinger out. Of course, Colleague still got the win with Haley. Taking
Allmendinger out seems to be a thing.
Yeah.
But you mentioned it though. AJ's flourished in that role because like this is another one of our wins, Eric. I'm going to take it even though he didn't get the win. Yeah. We were screaming that Colleague should put AJ in that full-time seat to get a playoff berth. And my God, he's going to win a road course race this year because he dang near did it on Sunday. So
dude, I still think, I think they're making it. I mean, he's a great development guy, but I still think he's got a season or two of Cup in him.
He's happy with what he's doing, but I mean, with the way these road courses
come on. If they came to him with a Cup contract, full season Cup contract next year, you think he's not going to sign that?
No, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
He'll be all over that sucker.
Yeah, because he can win. Yep. He can get into the playoffs. And if he plays his cards right, he can win win the Roval too. Well, like
he's not a slouch on an oval either.
No, I mean he can hold his own on the ovals.
Talk about guys who've gotten screwed over in their career. AJ was on the path.
He did that to himself though too. Yeah. Partially when he got that Penske ride, he blew that on his own. Yeah. But to his credit, he rebuilt a lot from there. So.
One of the things I wanted to talk about with this race, we basically last year we raced here in the wet. We had the S's with the big turtles on the inside of the corners. NASCAR team spent the entire season since last year running sims, preparing to race through the turtles again, and they show up for their track walk according to Jeff Gluck, and there's no turtles. And so NASCAR decides in their infinite wisdom to instead of using objects that make it very easy to police something, they're going to make judgment calls instead. And because we know NASCAR is so good at judgment calls.
Great history of good judgment calls, yeah.
And started calling penalties for drivers cutting through the S's. I think it was through turns 3 to 6 or so. Which there were a lot of questions. I saw a lot of people questioning why it was just those corners. And even door bumper clear, they questioned it. So here's the deal. If you look at the track, there's there's asphalt all the way like miles through the S's and the inside. The corners that they could cut are the ones where there's grass on the inside, where there's no boundary. They'll just drive straight through there if you don't have a boundary. So you gotta. That's why the penalty was on those corners specifically and not the others. But we saw several drivers get penalized, especially Sunday, but all throughout the weekend for it. However, there are several drivers that there are photos of cutting the corners. I watched an onboard camera following Kyle Larson where he blatantly went below the line and didn't get called. NASCAR says, according to Freddie Kraft and Door Bumper Clear, we missed it. And that's their argument toward it. Then we had Chase Briscoe get shoved off, gets the penalty, and then NASCAR rescinds the penalty because he got pushed off. Let's put the turtles back in, man, or something. I don't know. NASCAR should not be making more judgment calls. If we can avoid making judgment calls, we should avoid making judgment calls.
It needs to be black and white. And then you don't want the fans screaming for penalties when the fans don't even know what they're looking at. So, that's part of it.
I don't know what the solution is here. Obviously they've got a bunch of pavement there. You got to have a boundary somewhere. Otherwise they will drive straight through there. But, I don't know. It is a crappy situation, I guess.
Yeah, I understand the team's being upset about it too. Like, you practice for one thing and you show up and it's not there.
Right. I mean, I don't want to do Formula One. I don't want to be sitting there calling track limits every single freaking corner. That's irritating.
No, God, no. Yeah.
But yeah, let's put a natural barrier there or something. I don't know. There's got to be. I don't know why the options, James, are we either have nothing or we have a 2.5 foot tall turtle. Like, why the hell are there not like barriers that are shorter? I mean, obviously we drive splitters underneath them, but and destroy cars with them. But
I think NASCAR got scared off after the debacle at Indianapolis last year too.
Right.
I mean, we had a bunch of stuff going on. So
I don't know. There's got to be a solution there than that. Yeah. And then cautions, James. Cautions at this track.
Oh my God. This is my
big... I joked, but we were talking 10 minutes for a caution lap around this place.
It was so, you can't do that to your fans. I mean, good God.
So what is the solution? I know a lot of people are screaming for local yellows. And I agree it would be nice to have that, but NASCAR doesn't want to put safety crew members, people on the track when cars are going at speed. And I don't disagree with that, because there was a Formula One incident, I believe it was, where a driver was killed because he crashed into safety vehicles that were out on the track. We've seen safety workers in other series get hit. I don't think we want that either. But you could say, okay, well, we won't run the full course under caution, but then now you're talking fuel mileage and all that stuff, which I guess it doesn't matter anyway, because we have a green white checker at the end, and a guaranteed green white checker at the end of these things. I mean, when it's a 3 some mile lap on the last lap and you have a green white checker, everybody's going to wreck and we're going to have another one.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I don't know that there is one, but the caution laps are just atrocious, and we're going to do it again later this year and 4th of July weekend when we go up to Road America. So
Road America, Indianapolis. These NASCAR yellows are just a bear on these road courses. It's so bad. I'd like to see, I mean, we could do local yellows, but we'd have to cut a huge section of track to make it get the drivers to slow down to a reasonable pace.
Why don't we just do the Monaco thing and just have cranes all around the track, and we'll just reach down and pick the car up.
Yeah. There you go. It's tough when you've got a 3 mile plus track like this, Eric. But it was, every time there was a full course caution, I just felt enraged, because I knew it was gonna be 10 to 15 minutes of a caution flag.
Yeah.
This race went for dang near, how many hours did this race go for?
The race length was 3 hours, 20 minutes and 57 seconds, and I would say an hour and 20 minutes of that was the last 10 laps.
3 hours and 20 minutes. The average speed of the race was 70 miles per hour. I
was sitting here thinking, wow, this race is really clicking along. This is kind of nice. And then we ran the last stage.
They started to misbehave.
Yeah.
I know. It was rough. Really bad. Just, I don't have the fix. I don't know. Could we do a virtual car? out there,
Virtual
like
safety
F1
car.
does.
I mean, NASCAR did a pretty good job of not running more caution laps than they needed to run, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, we had quickie yellows. It's a 4-mile freaking track. I mean,
yeah, full course yellows are so bad. The fans in the stands can't enjoy it any worse than we were having to deal with it. It doesn't make for good TV at all. I mean, it's poor, especially when you can run. Literally, I saw this. The last 2 F1 races were done at COTA faster than this race was. This one race was. So shorten the laps, or I don't know what the fix. I don't have a fix for it, but we can't.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, those 2 Formula One races are a hell of a lot less exciting than this NASCAR race.
Well, that's the thing. I know NASCAR has a better racing product. At the end of the day, it's just
honestly, if
terrible.
Formula One didn't have the announcer they have, those races would be half as exciting as they are.
Yeah. Well, and if they didn't have the Drive to Survive series, people wouldn't care as much either.
We laughed during the pandemic last year when MRN was announcing people running around a swimming pool.
Oh my God, yeah.
But
the dogs.
I'll tell you what, that's what it was, the dogs. The F1 announcer, I think could announce paint drying and it'd be exciting. So yeah. I don't know what the solution is. But what we have now is painful, especially, like I said, when you can't run a lap without having a caution at the end of the race.
Did Jeff Gluck or Jordan Bianchi say, what was the quote? If they could put a race inside a freaking football field, they can fix yellow flags.
Right.
You can fix this. And an oval, it's not a problem. But when you've got this monster out there in Texas, you got to do something with it. Road America is going to be the same problem.
You know what we haven't had, though, James, is we haven't had cars getting stuck because they have flat tires.
Yep.
Notice everybody figured that out. Those teams figured that out.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that.
You could run the shorter loop on this track too. You don't have to run the big old thing.
Why don't we just cut their lap down? Period. We just do like we did at Sonoma and Watkins Glen, and just run a shorter version of the track.
That's what I'm saying. You could run the inner loop on this track and cut that big straightaway out. You'd still have a great racing.
Yeah, but that straightaway is awesome though.
Well, that turn
it's even better really when it's raining.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you put stopped cars on it. It's spectacular.
Boy. Yeah, I'm really glad we didn't have that this year. Holy smokes.
We didn't have to worry about rain. There was not a drop of it. It was beautiful down there.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else do we want to hit on before we move out of the Cup Series race? Christopher Bell got a nice quiet 3rd place finish in this one.
Yeah, he's been doing that. He got that one taken away in Atlanta, but he's been running really strong. Trackhouse was the only team that led in double digits besides Austin Cindric. Chastain led 31 laps, and the stage 1 winner, Daniel Suarez, led all 15 of those.
Yeah,
before his day went to hell.
Power steering issues. Can you imagine running a 20-turn road course with no power steering?
I mean, he got 24th place out of it.
Yeah.
Something.
Let's see. Tyler Reddick was in the running, led 2 laps. I thought when he got the lead and the caution came out there toward the end that it was his race, it was over with, and then Chastain was able to get back by him. So good on him. Ryan Blaney, man, I forget. I don't know why I forget, but I forget every road course race that Ryan Blaney's a good road course racer.
Yeah, he got the pole, man.
Yeah, and then I mean, if he could get a new tire changer or 2, he'd probably be golden.
Yep. I love seeing Eric Jones up there.
Yeah.
Brad Keselowski battled for 14. I mean, battled. Yeah. He was bad all day.
They're out to lunch right now, and
somehow, some way,
help him any right now.
Yeah.
AJ Allmendinger falls to 33rd with his incident. Andy Lally finishes last in 39th with suspension issues.
I thought Chase Briscoe was going to have, I mean, he was pretty solid, and then, he had that penalty deal, and then he stumbled. Eric, that first turn at this track off of a restart, I will say, as much as I hated the cautions, the restarts were phenomenal.
Yeah.
With that first corner the way it is. I mean, they just fan out 5 wide trying to figure out how to get through there, and then all hell breaks loose. And
I think the biggest problem with this track, James, is something that I saw kind of when we first talked about coming here, or if we were to talk about racing in any Formula One track, is it's just too forgiving. You can really screw up here and get away with it without ruining your day. And I mean, that's good in a way, but it's also not. That being said, I mean, a lot of the guys that got trapped back in the field weren't able to make their way back up. They stayed back there. So tough to pass. And anyway,
Yep.
I mean, I didn't think it was a spectacular race. I thought the ending made the race.
Yeah, ending saved it.
But I did argue that this race was 30 times better than any race on the Texas Oval. So I will take this any day over the Texas Oval.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
Any day.
No argument from me.
Hell, I'd go back here this weekend instead of going to Richmond, but we don't have that option. We'll see what happens at Richmond. Let's see what else with this race. Chase Elliott leads the points by 13 over Ryan Blaney. Austin Cindric with his 8th place finish was the highest finishing rookie on the day. Saturday we had the old doubleheader. The NASCAR Xfinity Series ran the, what the heck was it, Pit Boss 250. And AJ Allmendinger led 27 laps, one of just 5 drivers to lead in this one, and gets the win and killed my picks for this week.
Yep, wasn't even close. AJ was doing pretty much everything out there, and yep.
I mean,
Sam Mayer had a nice day. He won stage 2. He drove a really good race, I thought. But this one belonged to AJ. Funny enough, Ross Chastain led a bunch of laps, didn't have a good finish, but it seemed to be their weekend between the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, I really would like to talk about this race more, but I don't really know what else to talk about. I mean,
there's not a whole. I mean, this was the least exciting of the 3.
It definitely was.
We had a lot of Cup guys dabble in this race. Bubba was in the field. Yeah. I mean, Cole Custer.
Bubba ran pretty well for a road course race until he had mechanical issues.
Yep. Yeah, he had a rough weekend. I mean, he durfed on his skateboard. He had a bad Cup race, so he was glad to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this race was, I guess, your prototypical Xfinity Series race on a road course. There's not a whole heck of a lot to even go over. I mean, there's a handful of cautions. One of them was the end of a stage. We had some fluid, some debris, and that was pretty much it. So
it is AJ Allmendinger's 11th win in 66 Xfinity Series races. First victory of 2022.
Extends his lead as the road course all-time winner too, if I'm not mistaken. This was hold on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This was his 7th road course win.
There you go.
In the Xfinity Series.
Austin Hill was the highest finishing rookie, and Noah Gragson leads the points by 1 over AJ.
There you go. And both of them got their wins, so they're feeling good.
There you go. And then the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series had a demolition derby, the XPEL 225.
Oh boy!
The best part about it, even as a Kyle Busch fan, is that old
KFB
got taken out a little bit at the end.
Yeah, going into turn 11.
You had one guy who was racing like a Cup Series driver, and then everybody else in the field that was racing like a Truck Series driver. And,
including Alex Bowman.
Yes, Alex Bowman, who he was the one that was on the inside, right? That took them both out.
Well, he was one of them that got on his inside. I will say though,
Stuart Friesen wasn't making the turn without Alex Bowman, but he certainly didn't make the turn with Alex Bowman.
Well, and why did my question is so this is the big takeaway from this race. This is probably where we're going to spend our time.
Why the hell did Kyle Busch run wide?
Yeah, why did he leave it open like that?
Well, if you're going to do it, at least come to a stop and let them go by you and then sneak underneath them. Yeah, I don't know.
I honestly didn't know what Kyle was doing there. Like, I thought he should protect the bottom. Maybe he was trying to get the better run off, but he left enough room for 4 trucks to get to his inside. That's how far out he was from that corner.
Yeah, it was like he wanted to get wrecked. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. That was that was a poor decision, and it cost him for sure. Still got a 3rd place finish out of it, but
My favorite part, Eric, sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's good.
Post race, they're standing on pit road, and Kyle Busch is sipping from his water bottle, and he's sipping it in a super smug way because he's super mad.
Yep.
And Alex Bowman's using hand gestures and like just gabbing away, like he's just talking, and Kyle Busch is just slowly sipping on his water bottle and maybe said 2 words and then shrugged his shoulders, and Alex Bowman left. That was the classic Kyle Busch is super pissed. Yeah, it was a great exchange. Bowman was trying his damnedest to be his buddy, and it just wasn't going to happen.
I've made it no secret on this podcast that I'm a Kyle Busch fan, but I am almost more of a fan of Kyle getting taken out or getting cost a win right at the end of the race, because watching him afterwards is so damn entertaining.
it's really like watching a 4-year-old
Yeah.
have a tantrum. It really, I mean,
what it is,
really...
James, what it is when you're at the mall, and I know we don't go to the mall anymore. This is pre-pandemic, back when James and I were kids, or I was a kid and James was probably still in diapers. But it's like when you go to the mall and there was that obnoxious kid that he was annoying and whatever, and his mom got mad at him and he gets yelled at and he starts crying. Yep. That's what it's like. It's like watching that kid. You're like, ha, he got it. He got what's coming to him, you know?
Exactly.
Because as a parent, you just suffer through it. But when you're not the parent, you're like, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe just me. I don't know.
No, I get it. No, I get that. That's a great analogy. And by the way, did we congratulate Zane Smith on sneaking through and getting
No,
the
yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Yeah. Second win of the season for him.
Yeah, Zane Smith, man. Who would have thunk it? He's having a really good season.
Yeah, definitely. That team doing pretty well there. Look what happens when Todd Gilliland gets out of the truck. I mean,
boy. Woo. And now this is the other side of your Kyle Busch defense mechanism right there.
Yeah, right. So something I want to discuss here, James. They talked about it a little bit on Door Bumper Clear this week. The Truck Series. We've talked about this before. We talked about it last year, especially after the dirt race at Knoxville. There is little to no respect in this series. It kind of feels like we run the first two stages to just cruise along, and we get to that third stage. I remember back at my local track here, Tri-City Motor Speedway, back in the day, they used to do spectator drags. And there was one night with the spectator drags, these two guys came out with these brand new shiny cars, line up to the line, they wave the green flag, and instead of going straight, they both turned their wheels right into each other and just wrecked each other all the way around the track. I mean, it was just a mess. That's what the Truck Series feels like to me. It's like, we're not trying to win. We're just trying to wreck everybody. And they take out the brain and just drive like freaking idiots. And these are the guys that are trying to learn to be able to progress through these other series. And these are also those guys that are going to progress through those other series. So they're going to bring this style of racing with them. We've already seen it. The Xfinity Series is wilder than it's been in the past. And we've seen some of these guys make it to the Cup Series. And obviously, the Ross Chastains changed the style of racing in the Cup Series. Part of it is because of the system we have, but part of it is because that's what these guys have learned. So my question to you, James, is, do you have an issue with this? Is this something NASCAR needs to step in and stop? That's what Brett Griffin wanted NASCAR to maybe do something about it. Or is this just, hey, this is our entertaining series that if you want to go watch a bump and run or a demolition derby, this is what you got.
Yeah, I just think that you don't want these teams wadding up trucks all the time. So maybe there's a stern talking to that needs to be had at a driver meeting or something.
Yeah.
To I don't know, maybe NASCAR's already doing this. I have no idea, but this has just been a little bit of a messy start to the season. I'd like to see the sanctioning body try to reel them in just a little bit. I mean, you can race hard and not.
Yeah, this ain't racing. It's not racing.
But they're really wadding them up.
I will say, James, I like chaos, and I'm all right with it if it's just in this series. I don't want it to migrate across all three series, but I kind of like that. I mean, I show up to the EVA Destructions that they do at the local short track. Those are fun to watch once in a while. I wouldn't want to watch them every weekend, but I'll go watch them once in a while.
Yep.
If I go to a NASCAR race weekend and I get to see one demolition derby, cool. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure the owners don't care for it very much. That's for sure.
They can choose not to be in it too.
It's true. But I mean, Kyle Busch is the biggest complainer of them all when it comes to costs. So.
Right. I don't know. I mean, it's not racing. It's definitely, and it does kind of give you a bad taste of, across the series, kind of makes us look a little silly. But that being said, they're the one series that looks different. They're driving the tough trucks, that's the thing that they try to talk about. And I mean, I don't know.
Well, we got 2 dirt races coming up in the summer months here, so we'll just watch.
Wait till we get back. See how that goes. Wait till we get back to Knoxville and we wreck 30 of them going into turn 1 again.
Yeah, the next time we see the trucks is Martinsville, which will be fantastic, and then Bristol Dirt, and that's a problem.
You know what? You know what my favorite part I think of the entire weekend was? Oh no, you know what? I'm gonna save it. I will save it.
Save it.
No,
Yeah,
I'm gonna save it. I got a better spot in the show for this.
Okay, good.
All right. Yeah.
Potential jackass. I like it.
Potentially, because I don't have a jackass yet, but now I do. And I think you'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy my jackass.
I always enjoy yours. Yes.
Anything else to talk about with this one? John Hunter Nemechek, we were ragging on him last week. He got a second place finish out of this one, James.
Yeah, we did rag on him. Yeah.
I mean, he didn't run well, but he managed to get the finish. So
another lap. Yep.
Let's see.
Kyle pretty much dominated this race.
Yeah. It was all Kyle Busch's race until the end. Zane Smith, it's his 5th victory in 50 Camping World Truck Series races, 2nd victory on 3rd top 10 of 2022. Let's see. Lawless Allen in 11th place was the highest finishing rookie, and Chandler Smith leads the series point standings by 15 over Ben Rhodes.
All right. Yeah. Nice.
Let's talk some news, James. We don't have a whole lot, but we need to talk about Brad Keselowski and Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing. Got a nice little penalty over the week. NASCAR set the example with them. Yeah, right. 100 points, 100 owner points, 100 driver points. Crew chief gets a vacation for a few weeks. Who else? I don't know. TJ Major said he was expecting them to show up and send him packing too. He's a spotter if you don't know. We don't know what they did exactly. We just know that they somehow tampered with the parts they're not supposed to tamper with, which is just about messing with
the rear end.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, the body. Again, it's under appeal right now, but that's my understanding to the very simplest terms. Like they were messing with the assembly between the rear quarter panels and the back panel there.
So I have a problem with this because NASCAR used to make it their policy that when somebody broke the rules, they didn't keep it quiet. They put it on display. I mean, I remember Stuart Friesen at, I think it was Kentucky, when he broke the rules, they confiscated his truck. They left the truck there with the cover off and everything for everybody to come look at. This is what you're not supposed to do. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little bothered by this, that it's so kind of quiet as to exactly what was done. NASCAR's always made a precedent out of not keeping stuff behind closed doors like this.
Yeah, and I found it interesting too. Like this weekend, they did not take any cars to the R&D center.
Yeah,
I messaged you earlier last week. Of course, it was right after we taped the pod again.
Right.
But I messaged you that NASCAR found a way to get them because they took that car back to the R&D center, and Keselowski and RFK and Penske got away with one earlier in the season with the lug nuts.
Yep.
They were not getting away, twice.
No, I mean, and that's something to consider here, guys. This is the second time that this team has messed with parts. They got busted once before, but NASCAR didn't penalize them, and now they got them. And I mean, this is huge. I mean, they're already behind the
biggest penalty I think I've ever seen.
Yeah,
consider
already behind the 8 ball, and I mean, this is beyond. Michael Waltrip didn't start 100 points down when he put jet fuel in his car, did he?
No, he lost 100 points, but that was the old system. It didn't. The percentages are not what this is. This is way bigger of a percentage, and it knocked him from borderline playoffs to 35th in points. But Eric Brad said it. He goes, honestly, the financial fine is probably the worst part because we're still in the same situation. We think we got to win these. We got to win races.
Yeah.
So. I guess
they're a lot closer to the cutoff now to where they need
that's true.
They can't even qualify even if they do win.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Don't do it again.
I mean, that's almost 2 full races worth of points.
Yeah, that's a lot.
If you win 2 full races worth of points.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Any issue? I mean, obviously, again, we don't know exactly what they did, but any issue with this? I mean, NASCAR set the precedent at the beginning of the season and told everybody this is the sandbox. Don't step out of it.
Yep, I'm fine with it. If you're like Dave Chappelle said, if you're a habitual line stepper, you're gonna get nabbed.
Yeah,
and this is cut and dry. I mean, I know they're repealing it, so by the time we're done taping, who knows?
Right. Well,
I know we've got a week to go.
Because they said let's see, April 7th, I think. Yeah, April 7th is when the appeal will be heard. So we won't know until then. And obviously they're not expecting to get their crew chief back because he was off this weekend, but I'm sure they're hoping to get some of those points back.
Yep. Maybe half. I don't think so. I don't think NASCAR is going to budge on this one.
It's pretty rare. I mean, we don't see a whole lot of the appeals successful, especially in full. But speaking of vacations, some of Bubba Wallace's crew members are going to get a vacation the next 4 weeks as well. Bubba Wallace loses the wheel during the Cup Series race, and they have lost crew chief Booty Barker and Caleb Dirks and Adam Riley suspended for the next 4 championship series events. So
Yep.
we know it's tough. You get one loose. You only get one lug now. You get one loose, you're screwed. But hey, these wheels can't come off. And I know there was a lot of joking about it and stuff and laughing because fortunately it hit a fence and that was it. But if they go somewhere they shouldn't, it's a bad deal. So good on NASCAR. Keep penalizing.
Yeah, that's the rule. And
is this enough of a penalty?
Yeah.
Does it really hurt them? That crew chief's still going to be there.
Yeah, and what I am tentative about as well is there's something with these wheels that is not all on the teams. I just
maybe it's the 6 second or 8 second pit stops.
Could be, but it could be the parts too. I don't know. I mean, I'm okay with the penalties. Keep them coming, but
yeah. I mean, it's not stopping it. We're still losing tires. We've lost more tires this season already than we've lost in the past several years. I mean, we don't lose them too often. And when they did fall off before, it was usually coming off a pit road and they weren't going very fast. So
for sure.
That's it for news. I don't really have anything else, James, unless there's something that popped up. So
I'm scouring the Twitters, but nope. Tom Brady got his coach fired.
Nice.
Other than that, that's about it. So
great.
I can't find a whole heck of it's really. That's really clogged up my timeline. So our buddy Ranger, who's a Bucks fan, is probably watching all that right now. But other than that, no, there's no NASCAR news to be found. So
there you go. So we go to Richmond Raceway this weekend, which I believe it is Richmond Raceway now.
Yes, it is. Yep.
I screw this up every week, but yeah, Richmond Raceway. The NASCAR Xfinity Series and NASCAR Cup Series are both in action. We start on Saturday with the NASCAR Xfinity Series and Toyota Care 250. Looking at picks, James did get the win again this week. 31 points on me, and a lot of that came from the Xfinity Series race. My Ty Gibbs pick did not pan out very well.
Yeah, that was the only one you really lost, man. It was a 1 point difference between the trucks and the Cup race. We tied the Cup race, and I beat you by a point. I had Tyler Ankrum.
Yeah.
In the truck
I was
series
pretty
race,
excited that you picked Tyler Ankrum because that was didn't turn out to be that great of a pick. But then John Hunter Nemechek didn't score points all day long. So
yeah, I know he finished second, and I still got a point on you. But I had AJ. You left the door open on AJ in the Xfinity Series, and I slammed it shut when I went through. So
I know. I know, and I'm going to leave the door open again this week too in the Cup Series.
And I got a harsh reminder that Tyler Reddick does not care about stage points, specifically at road course races. That team never races for stage points, and they did it again. On Sunday, and didn't really get the points I needed because Austin Cindric did not have as decent of a day as Tyler Reddick did by any means, but same points. So, 31 point difference. Eric, you're yet to score 100 this season. Is which is interesting to me. You've been very close.
Yeah.
But you have been, I believe you have beaten me more times this year. Like I just have a couple of the beatdowns that have kept me in the lead, but I'm not confident.
It's not been a good start to the season for me. Not at all. Fantasy's about the same way, but except for the week I didn't pick, and I did well.
Yep.
So anyway, I still get the first pick because James is now 45 points ahead of me. Hoping to make some up this weekend. I'm going to start with the Xfinity Series, James, and I'm just going to go easy on this one. I'm going to pick Justin Allgaier once again.
Son of a gun.
Couple of wins here, and pretty good at this track. So
yeah, I was going to take Justin Allgaier. So darn it. Oh man. There's not a whole lot of opportunity. Boy, I'm going to take. I'll take Noah Gragson.
Okay.
I'll take Noah Gragson. So you and you had Justin Allgaier.
Yep.
Justin Allgaier. All right.
And then Sunday we get to see how the new car performs at Richmond Raceway. It is Toyota Owners 400. And James, I'm going to go with the hack. I'm going with the guy who won this race last year, and Alex Bowman.
Yeah, I put him in my fantasy lineup on or earlier today. I was looking at the driver averages page. I'm like, I'm not sure what I want to do here, but I know I'm gonna probably take Bowman because he's been in the hunt for a couple of wins already.
I feel like he's gonna be up front at least.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he will be. He definitely will be.
It's funny. It's funny he's now in pick category for us.
Yeah. Well, so I was fighting on, like, I'm not confident in Toyotas.
Right.
I was hoping that I would have Alex Bowman, so I'm not going to be able to make that pick. Normally, I would take the easy route and go with Truex or Hamlin. I'm not feeling super confident in those Toyotas. But that being said, there's one Toyota driver that has been standing out so far, and I will ride the momentum wave that is Christopher Bell.
Nice.
And I'll see if he can score me some points on Sunday.
For the record, we both left Kyle Larson sitting out there.
Left Kyle Larson. We left Joey Logano. Very good here. We know Joey's got a win this season. It's in the exhibition race, but a win on a short track, I guess, if you want to.
Yeah, we keep talking about 6 different winners this year, but we had 7, actually.
Yeah. If you want to count Joey, you got Joey on.
Joey's got a win sticker on his car. It's just not the normal one.
So. The last 5 races at Richmond, and I know the new car changes things.
Yeah.
Martin Truex Jr. has 3 wins, 5 top 5s. He has led 482 laps. And has an average finish, or has a driver rating of 128.3. That is way higher, almost 15 points higher than Denny Hamlin, who's next on that list. So, yep, he's a monster. His average finish is 2.
That's nuts.
2. Yeah, I should have probably just taken him, but I'll leave the door open for you.
There
Sorry,
you go.
man.
All right, I'm counting on the hack.
Yep, the hack will probably do it.
Yep, he won't get any stage points or anything, but he'll win lead 2 laps and win it right at the end. So
yeah.
James, you got any shout outs this week?
Fantasy League first.
Oh yeah, Fantasy League. Sorry, it's even in the notes.
I mean, I don't want to do the fantasy.
It's right in the
league.
notes. Yeah, I wanted to forget it too.
I don't want to do the Fantasy League. Hot Rod Todd back to back. Nice work. Got the W. The champ is here. That's Ranger. He stormed to the top of the board. And then my brother-in-law, Fast to the Grass, was 3rd on Sunday, which puts him first in points as well. He is the points leader. Justin 713 second, and Hot Rod Todd with his 2 wins, he is 3rd. Eric, we flip-flopped. You are now a couple points ahead of me. There's the 1,000 point club. I am not in it. I'm at 997, and you are in the 1,000 point club at 1,003. So you just snuck in there. But yeah, there's a little bit of separation at the top. Fast to the Grass and Justin are they're pretty far out there, so not insurmountable by any means. But yeah, though I hate it. I hate that AJ Allmendinger ruined my day. Technically it was Ross Chastain, but anyway, yeah.
There you go.
The damn Fantasy League. Don't want to talk about it anymore. I hate it this year so much. We were talking about before the podcast, and it's really been bothering me. Anyway,
what you got for shout outs? Got anything?
Actually, my buddy Taylor, just shout out to him thanks for messaging me that you wanted the show for your commute this morning. But no, I'm glad that we've got some people out there, friends of ours and many others who like our show, and that was just kind of cool. Even though he was like, "Where's it at?" It was cool that he wants to hear us. So I appreciate that, and it was just a cool reminder that people do care about what we're doing. It's awesome, man. I love hearing that. So shout out to Taylor.
There you go. Jackass Corner, James. So the one I'm going to go with, and I could be completely wrong on this, so please correct me. I'm trying to look it up to see, and I'm trying like hell to remember, but I don't. So the funniest thing of the weekend to me was Stuart Friesen complaining about getting wrecked on the last lap at COTA and talking about how people shouldn't race like that, blah, blah, blah. Am I wrong, but wasn't Stuart Friesen the one that took out like 3 people toward the finish of the Knoxville race on dirt?
Yeah.
Completely blatantly just turned into him and wrecked him like one of the final restarts. I mean, I know
it was a big pile up in turn 1.
I know you're a big Stuart Friesen fan, but this dude, I'll tell you, I know it's after the race and whatever, but Stuart Friesen, you're my jackass this week for whining about getting wrecked when you race like that yourself.
Yeah, he's got some stuff, man. His wife's racing the dirt races. I did see that.
I saw that.
I guess we could sneak some news in there, but I mean, good one.
There you go.
It's a good one. That's a really good one.
You got a jackass, James?
Boy, I wanted to take the low hanging fruit with the caution. I feel like we already did the caution flag thing. But yeah, that was. I don't know if it's just me. Maybe I'm the jackass because I'm trying to watch a race in its entirety live with 2 kids running around.
Yeah.
And it was just hectic at the house when we were kind of traveling between houses on Sunday, and I was the, I guess, stereotypical like dad watching his sports on his phone for a hot minute, and it was just I was agitating my wife, and I blame NASCAR and their cautions for that. Well, I had to see how it was going to end out. I had to watch.
So the stupid fantasy league gets me to, I like to start races delayed, and it gets me to where I try to catch up to live by the end, or close to live by the end of stage 2, so I can sub in if I need to. And then so I'm live when we go to the final stage, when we start wrecking and having long ass cautions.
Yep.
And yeah, it kills me. It was rough. It was a rough end of the race. My wife's sitting here wondering what we're going to do for dinner. And I'm like, well, there's only 3 more laps left. Give me 2.5 hours and we'll be ready to do something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was rough. All right, James, where can people find you on social media if they want to complain about cautions on road courses with you?
Yeah, you can do that. Add James Cush on Twitter. That'd be fine.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/TheSuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find old episodes of the podcast, show notes, links to articles we discuss, all that stuff can be found on there. Also, past race coverage, photos, etc. So check that out. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Facebook. Wherever you found us today, we hope you subscribe and continue to listen. We appreciate everybody who listens each week. We appreciate those who message James and complain because the podcast is a day late. Feel free to message him all you want. You can message me, but I probably won't reply. So I'm terrible like that.
Yep.
I'll try to reply. You guys can message me too. With that, we go to Richmond Raceway this weekend, NASCAR Xfinity Series and NASCAR Cup Series. We'll be back next week on our normal day, probably Tuesday, to break it all down. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.